How's it going? Hope you're having a good day. With all the negativity surrounding the Battlefield 5 reveal trailer, I wanted to go ahead and also look at the positive aspects of what we have learned thus far. Because believe it or not, there have been some changes that have been talked about that I think are going to be quite beneficial for the Battlefield franchise, especially coming off of Battlefield 1. Premium being one of the first things I want to talk about, because that being gone really I think is going to be a benefit for this game. It's going to keep the community together throughout the DLCs and the progression of the game overall. That's one thing I really disliked about previous Battlefields, was even with some good map packs, I wouldn't be able to play them for very long after the release because the community would be split up too much and nobody would go back to that map pack. They would just continuously play the baseline maps. And one of the biggest complaints was the progression system in Battlefield 1. There wasn't really a whole lot there to do necessarily. Of course, they had the weekly medals, but in reality, I didn't really care for those either because I stopped looking at them after a month into the game, and I never looked at them again. There was just no need. I didn't really gain anything from completing those assignments. And it seems that with Battlefield 5, they're going to have a lot of things to do. So there's going to be a lot of progression, and on top of that, a lot of customization to go with it. From what I've heard and read, they're going to allow not only cosmetic stuff for your character, vehicles, and weapons, but they're also going to have a lot of customization for each individual class and the way that it plays out. So for example, Assault class, you can have it to where it's focused more on infantry or more for anti-vehicle. This should be really nice because on some maps or even in certain situations, I'm sure that you'll want to focus more on one or the other. So this gives you a lot of option to do that while still maintaining the same class. So this is something that you could actually pick a class to kind of stick with it throughout the life of the game, and you don't really have to play the other classes. Granted, I'll probably play most of the classes, but stick to recon. And it seems that weapon skill is going to be back in Battlefield 5, as they said that bullet spread is no longer random on the weapons, and each weapon will have distinctive recoil that you can learn and compensate for while firing. So we're going back to what we used to have in previous Battlefields, which is a good thing because I really enjoyed that. Granted, they still haven't said a whole lot about suppression. Even though they said that bullet spread is no longer going to be there for weapons, they didn't necessarily say that it wouldn't be there if you were suppressed, because it was magnified in Battlefield 1 while you were suppressed. So I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with suppression and how that impacts you as an individual player and your weapons yet. And then when it comes to destruction, they're talking about how it's going to be different and they're basically ramping it up to an extent. I really look forward to seeing this and how it's going to play out, because in the trailer, the destruction there looked absolutely beautiful. So I really hope that that is more of a visual representation of kind of how it plays out in game. If it is, then I think that's going to be pretty awesome and a really cool experience in game. And then now that they are allowing fortifications, which I really look forward to seeing how well that plays out, I think that's going to be quite beneficial, because it was annoying on certain maps throughout previous Battlefields and even Battlefield 1, where an area of those buildings around the flag would be so destroyed that you have pretty much no cover at all. And this allows you to create a little bit of cover. So I think this could be really beneficial moving forward, especially if they end up doing a Battle Royale game. And from what I've heard, they're supposed to be getting rid of the elite classes and behemoths, which I think is quite beneficial, because it was always annoying to just be destroying a team and then you're doing really well and all of a sudden you get killed 2 or 3 times in a row because they have a damn train. Like, that was really annoying, and I'm glad that it's going to be gone. Especially because there's only ever a handful of matches that behemoths really made any sort of difference in, and for the most part it was more like geared towards the operations game mode as opposed to conquest, which I predominantly play. When it comes to movement, they changed a lot as well. They're talking about being able to crouch sprint so you can keep a low profile while moving. Also, they're talking about the different diving and stuff, but they know that the dolphin diving problem exists, so they're trying to do stuff to prevent that. They're also talking about being knocked back by shockwaves from explosions. Granted, I think this could be something that could be quite annoying in game. I know we saw the V1 rocket in the reveal trailer, so I hope it's kind of like pushed only to situations like that as opposed to like more general explosions. because I think that's just going to be super annoying. And also, apparently, you're supposed to disturb the foliage when you're moving around. So if you lay down in some tall grass, you can start moving around, but it's going to move as well. So an enemy may realize that you're there. This is going to be one of those things that you could shoot through there, and if you get a hit marker, you know someone's there. So you have to really be careful and be cognizant of where you're at and how you're moving. And finally, they've also changed the spotting mechanic, but we don't really know how that's going to play out yet. One thing that we can look forward to possibly is that the 3D spotting will no longer be the main go-to, or at least it won't be as overpowered as it has been in previous Battlefields, especially Battlefield 1, because it's always annoying, and I find it to be quite ridiculous that I'm shooting enemies through smoke simply because they have a little 3D Dorito above their head. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see them nor shoot them. Anyway, that's not all the good things that I've heard and read about when it comes to Battlefield 5, and I'm sure there's going to be a considerable amount more moving forward, especially within the next month here. I do look forward to seeing what more they have to offer with this game. I think it'll end up being better than Battlefield 1. The question really is, how much better will it be? Based off of what we heard so far, I think it may be considerably better, but I'm going to hold judgment off until we see a little more about the game itself. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. RAMTEID out.